of Adventures of Lescott Live. Yes, on this, the 1st of May, Labor Day, a public holiday in the state of Grenada, Carrico and Petit Martinique, and in at least 160 other jurisdictions, other states and countries around the world where it is observed. Yes, I felt compelled to do this live today. But before I continue, I just want to ensure that you're hearing me. Is my audio clear? Those of you on the live, feel free to say yes or no. I had last week Sunday an issue when I did my usual Sunday live with the audio, and I'm hoping that that is not the case today. Yeah. So I'm going to still proceed. Thank you very much, Glenda. Thank you very much. So, yes, today is May Day, and it is the 1st of May. April just ended there. Wherever you are, whether it's morning time, evening, night time, yes, this live is coming to you from Grenada, the beautiful island, state of Grenada, Carrico, and Petit Martinique. Yep. I just want to recognize the workers of this country. Yes, yes. I want to shout out, that's my favorite word. I want to give credit to the workers, yes, for staying the course, yes, ensuring that services in various sectors, whether it be the hospitality industry, whether it's public commercial buildings, yes, you workers play a pivotal role, yes, in the economic life of these countries, yes. And for this day, I salute each and every one of you. Yep. I just want to give, as we go along, a bit of history as it relates to Labor Day. Well, of course, I had to do my research. I went online, yeah, thanks to Google. Yes, I must say. So I want to share that with you first of all, as we delve further into May Day. For the state of Grenada, like many other places, Labor Day is celebrated on the 1st of May, as I just alluded to. It commemorates the contributions of workers and the broader labor movement. I just want to emphasize here, it commemorates the contributions of workers and the broader labor movement. This date is linked to the international movement advocating for workers' rights and is a public holiday in Grenada and in at least 60 plus countries around the world. The origins of May the 1st celebration can be traced back to the 19th century US labor movement and the call for an 8-hour workday. I'm going to elaborate a bit as we get into international origins. The date May is associated with a nationwide strike in the US in 1886, which aimed to achieve an 8-hour workday. This strike and subsequent events became a symbol of the workers' struggle for better conditions. So that is how it all started. Yes, a strike. Yes, nationwide strike in the US in 1886. Yes, you and I, I'm quite sure, are learning, yeah, as we go along. Global recognition. May the 1st is recognized as International Workers' Day in many countries, including Grenada, and is often a day of rest, reflection, and celebration of the working class. In our context, and I'm referring to Grenada's context, while the international movement played a key role, Grenada also has its own historical context and struggles for workers' rights, which may have influenced the adoption of Labor Day on May the 1st. Over time, Labor Day has evolved from a call for specific demands, like the 8-hour workday, into a broader celebration of the contributions of all workers and a time to reflect on the condition of labor in this here society. And again, it's not just Grenada, but as I said, the 160 plus countries that recognizes this day. We continue. This year, Labor Day falls on Thursday, May 2025. Yes, in that obvious. Yesterday was Wednesday, today is Thursday. So I just want to get in further. This day commemorates the anniversary of the Haymarket Affair. So what propelled that nationwide strike in 1886 in the US was the Haymarket Affair in Chicago in that very said year, where a protest by workers advocating an 8-hour workday ensued. It was a tragic, violent protest, and it became the turning point in labor history, leading to its international recognition. So, in our context, yes, I want to just delve in a bit further in the labor movement in Grenada, the persons that have made this day and helped to shape this day in Grenada as far as labor relations and the movement is concerned. So I just want to make mention of a few prominent labor leaders. I'm quite sure many of you would agree with me with the names that I would call, and maybe be able to mention a few names that I myself may have omitted or forgot. Prominent labor leaders include Shubal Uriah, aka Buzz Butler. Does anyone remember that name? Does that name ring a bell? He made his name in the Twin Islands state of Trinidad and Tobago. However, he is Grenadian by birth. Good morning, Kathleen. Good morning. Sprinkle my regards to everybody there. Hope you're having a good day so far. Yes, Shubal Uriah Buzz Butler. Eric Gary. Sir Eric Gary, Grenada's first prime minister. Yes, he was a labor leader. I just want to step aside from, and make mention of some things. I remember my deceased grandmother always speaking about the fact that Gary taught her to wear panties. It may not be literally, but he helped shape their lives. He brought a difference to a lot of families, to a lot of individuals, to Grenada as a society. Let's forget about the negativity and let us deal with the positive sides. Yes? So, Eric Matthew Gary was also a prominent labor leader. Maurice Bishop, we can't forget Maurice Bishop. He too was also a labor leader. Yes? Just to elaborate on Chuba Uriah Butler, Grenadian-born leader in Trinidad and Tobago. He led labor riots and founded political parties focused on the working class improvement. Yeah? Gary, also known as Uncle Gary, and you know, for a lot of us, Uncle Gary, he rose to prominence, after a general strike in 1951. I wasn't even born yet. 1951, he rose to prominence after a general strike and dominated Grenada politics for nearly 50 years. Bishop, on the other hand, was the leader of the New Jewel movement, a revolutionary Marxist-Leninist party that overthrew Gary in 1979. Folks, these are but a few of the prominent leaders that helped to shape Grenada. Worthy of mentioning also too is the likes of Louis Clarkson, now deceased, Madonna Harford, Chester Humphrey, the militant Chester Humphrey, Wilfred Hayes, Eric Pierre, the man that led the Seamen and Waterfront Workers Union for many a year, Elliot Bishop, that led the Commercial and Industrial Workers Union, Reginald Dow, just to name a few. I'm quite sure many of you on the live or viewing the live know of other persons that would have helped to shape the labor movement here in Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. Let us, while we reflect, enjoy each other's company as workers on this day, remember those that got us to this point, that helped to shape the labor movement here in Grenada and even in the wider Caribbean. Those that fought tirelessly for changes, for equality, for the working class. Yes? Let us never lose sight of that. So we're going to continue. I just want to go back in time as well too, because I asked the question of Google. During the years in times past, did Grenada import or have indentured servants, persons that came in to assist after slavery was abolished? And this is what I found. Grenada did utilize indentured servants to address labor shortages following the abolition of slavery. The most prominent group was Indian indentured laborers. I repeat, the most prominent group was Indian indentured laborers, introduced in 1857. With the system functioning for about 33 years. So after the Indian indentured laborers were introduced, that system functioned for over 33 years. They brought into place enslaved Africans on plantation, sugar plantation. Let me just repeat. They were brought in to replace, my apologies, they were brought in to replace enslaved Africans on sugar plantations. It's no wonder why we have, as the second largest minority group in Grenada, the Indians. And we can talk a whole lot about their way of life, their style. We can even emulate their work ethic, take a page from them as well. Here's some more detailed look. Post-emancipation labor shortage. And let me just stick up in here. Folks, the information that I'm providing you is information that I got on the net, online, and it's being used solely for entertainment and educational purposes. I do not hold the rights to any of these. I want to make that abundantly clear. So yes, after the abolition of slavery, many former slaves left the sugar plantations, creating a labor shortage. Yes? Indentured labor was then introduced as a solution, as I alluded to earlier on. To fill this gap, Grenada, like other Caribbean nations, turned to indentured laborers, primarily from India. Folks, guess where I'm headed? Guess what I'm thinking? And I hope you're thinking the same way. It's no wonder why we have, throughout the Caribbean, Indians, Trinidad, Guyana, Jamaica, Barbados, and quite a number of the islands in the Caribbean. Yes, there is that connection with India as a result. Yeah, and we've seen them rise into prominence, especially in Trinidad and Guyana. Yeah. So to continue here, the system, you remember I spoke about the system after they were introduced, yes? And it continued for more than 33 years. It officially ended in 1890, but some continued to work on the existing contracts in 1893. So although it officially ended in 1890, you still had a few who operated under contracts until 1893. And the until doesn't say or clarify or clear the air for me in terms of it being totally abolished. Yes? So it's subjective in that regard. So let's talk about its impact. While the indentured system aimed to address labor shortages and revitalize the sugar industry, it didn't fully succeed, and the sugar industry began to decline. So although the indentured Indians were brought in to fill that void, fill that gap left off on the sugar plantations after the abolition of slavery, it did not fully succeed. Many farmers then shifted towards cultivating cocoa and nutmeg. And we know cocoa and nutmeg are two of the main cash crops of Grenada. So, May Day, or International Workers' Day, first became a public holiday in Grenada as a result of a conference in Barbados in 1945. And if my memory serves me correctly, I think 1944, we had the end of a war. I think it may have been the Second World War. I'm subject to correction here. So May Day first became a public holiday in the state of Grenada, and I'm quite sure the other countries in the Caribbean, and maybe the wider world, in 1945. Moreover, in our case and in the Caribbean case, as a result of a conference in Barbados, no telling if that conference involved persons from the wider world at that time. And we don't know if it was sanctioned by the International Labour Organization. I'm not even quite sure if the International Labour Organization was in being at that time. And again, I don't know if there's anybody in the live that will be willing to shed light on these. So the conference was, which launched the Caribbean League Labor Conference. So listen to this. The conference that was held, that signaled May Day as a public holiday for the first time in 1945, helped launch the Caribbean Labor Congress. So I'm thinking here, it may have been that the ILO, International Labour Organization, could have been in being during that time. Yep. So let me reread that part. The conference which launched the Caribbean Labor Congress passed a resolution urging regional governments. So there's a bit of specificity there. Regional governments. It speaks nothing about international. So it was regional governments. And they were asked to consider declaring May the 1st as a public holiday. While the exact year Grenada officially adopted May 1st as a public holiday isn't explicitly mentioned in the provided search results, the conference resolution set the stage for this to happen. So folks, our first May Day here in the state of Grenada, Carriacou and Petit Martinique was in the year 1945. And you and I know we have a rich history here as far as our labor movements and the struggles over the years. And there were quite a few struggles. Yes? Some that was tragic, some that were peaceful. Yes? And it will continue. Yes? We even seen the activities in terms of protesting, and I'm talking about from a labor perspective in the wider world. France, Britain, Germany, Trinidad, Barbados, Jamaica. Yeah? Because with the changing times, the increasing cost of living, the demands as far as equity for the working class gains momentum and gets stronger. Yeah? We see goods and services the price is just skyrocketing. Yeah. And yes, the unions, the workers will struggle. They may get an increase. But the thing about it is that when you get the increase on the left hand side, it goes back in the right hand side that there is no balance. There is no balance. I mean, let's just look at case in point. You go to the supermarkets. You go to the supermarkets. Yeah, you pick up two items. My two is a 5 or 6. And when you turn around, you look at your basket and you see the cost, the amount of monies that you have to pay for the 5 or so items. It's mind blowing. Mind blowing, you know? So the struggles are real. Yes? It will continue in Grenada and indeed the rest of the world. Let us forever be mindful of that. Yes? Let us also remember that when this day comes, that we need to ponder, reflect on what we have and how it was in order to go forward. Let us also remember the persons that made it possible for this day, for us to have what we now have. Yes? And be forever mindful of the future, the changing times. So to each and every one of you workers, the working class here in the state of Grenada, Carriacou, Kitimatic, and indeed the Caribbean, I hope today is a day of reflection. I hope you have a thoroughly enjoyable day today. And be prepared to face the challenges that will continue daybreak tomorrow. Thank you for joining. Each and every one of you have a blessed day. Continue to like, share, follow. And if any of this content appeal to you, I urge you to please subscribe. Goodbye.